I will begin by reading the Indigenous Land Use Statement. We acknowledge the land which we occupy today as the traditional home of the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok tribal nations. These sovereign people have been the caretakers of this land since time immemorial. Despite centuries of genocide and occupation, the Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok continue as vibrant and resilient tribes and bands, both federally recognized and unrecognized. We take this opportunity to acknowledge the generations that have gone before, as well as the present day Nisenan, Maidu, and Miwok people. I hereby call this meeting to order at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Brett, could you begin the roll call?
Sure. President Burrows,
Present.
VP Espinosa,
Present.
Director of Finance Nguyen,
Present.
present. Director of Public Relations Love,
Present.
present. Legislative Analyst Velarde Birch,
Present.
present. Senator Gorman,
Present.
present. Senator Ng,
Present.
present. K-Brep Mark Shepard,
Present.
present. And Dola Garcia, absent. So we have 8, I'm doing my math right, 8 out of 9 members, so quorum's been met.
All right, thank you, Brett. With that, we will move on to adoption of the agenda. The agenda was posted earlier this week on Instagram. I did not confirm to see if it was posted on IGOR. But if there are no objections or amendments, we will adopt today's agenda. Seeing and hearing none, the agenda is adopted, pardon me. We will now move on to approval of the minutes. So we have 2 minutes to approve today from February 25th and also from March 11th. So I'll give you a moment if there are any amendments. For the 25th, I guess we should do this one at a time. If there are no objections or amendments, we will approve the minutes for February 25th. Seeing and hearing none, the February 25th minutes are approved. Now for the minutes on March 11th. If there are no amendments or objections, we will approve the minutes for March 11th. Seeing and hearing none, the March 11th minutes are approved. So with that, we will move on to Chair's message. So good morning, everyone. I believe it's the end of week 9. I know I haven't been here in a couple weeks, so I'm looking at my calendar, kind of double checking that. Today is Holi, the Festival of Colors. The spring equinox, the holidays of Ostara and Nowruz are coming up this weekend, although spring break won't be for another month. Beaver Cares will be holding a food distribution event on Tuesday, March 29th from 11 to 1. Student elections are coming up, so please consider for running for an office, as well as reaching out to student leaders who may be interested in doing the same. I wanted to acknowledge that recently there's been some concern about safety on campus due to threats against our college president. I wanted to make sure all of you are aware of the Rave Guardian app, which you can download from the campus safety page. I will put that in the chat. I also wanted to share with all of you the Beavers Against Hate pledge from the Equity and Diversity page. So if you did not sign that anytime in the last year, you can certainly do that now. I'll also put that in the chat. There will be a Hold Space community support event this afternoon at 2 p.m. on Zoom and another on Monday at 6. College administrators reached out to a few of us on the Senate about co-hosting these events, and we all just want to make sure that students, staff, and faculty have a safe space to be in community, share their experiences, voice their concerns during this time. With so much going on both locally on our own campus and then also abroad internationally. So other than that, we are nearing the end of Internship Information Month. Next week, there will be a resume workshop and a Dress for Success event in preparation for the virtual career fair in April. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to a few of you, to our advisor, Brett Sawyer, for taking care of minutes and everything he does for all of us as a board. Also a shout out to Director of Public Relations, Sydney Fagan, Legislative Analyst Angie Velarde Birch, and Director of Legislative Affairs, Silvia Garcia, for chairing recent Senate meetings. I wanted to share a quick reminder. I will be out for a field trip again next Friday, and that meeting is scheduled to be chaired by our Vice President, Dominique Espinoza. So thank you again to all of you. So that's all I have for chair's message. So I will hand it over to Brett for advisor's message.
All right, y'all. Aloha, happy Friday. It's baseball season. I know you're all excited about that. So just a couple things, because I think I'm going to speak on one of the agenda items later. I wanted to start by thanking those of you that came Monday to the town hall event, and not only coming, but participating. So Angie, Dominique, Stacey, thank you for being in that space. I think it's important sometimes, for all the time, for our admin team and our faculty and other folks to hear from students, right? And so y'all made your presence and your voice felt, and I just wanted to shout y'all out for that. So thank you. I got one more shout out. That's I always tell people, when you get great news, to let me know, and I will use this space to brag about you. So today's brag session is about Senator Ng, Nathan. For those of you that don't know, Nathan received 2 summer internship offers, one at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore and one at Harvard. And he went with the Harvard one. So if I got this right, Nathan, it's the Summer Honors Undergrad Research Program, which is pretty rad. So Nathan, I'm going to give you the floor real quick. If you want to just kind of tell people what that program entails and kind of how you got it, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. Yeah, I'm very excited about this program. It's with the National Science Foundation, the REU, or Research Experience for Undergraduates. Let me find the website and I can put it in the link, but basically they list a bunch of REU programs throughout the entire nation. And it's pretty cool because wherever you go, they pay for you to fly out there, and you spend like 10 weeks doing research. And right now I sent the Harvard people the list of PhDs that I want to work with. So I'm waiting to hear back on them. But my field is mostly in genetics. So those are the main professors that I chose. So people who are doing work in genetics or stem cell research. But yeah, if you guys are STEM majors, or are just interested in research like that, it's a really exciting opportunity, and it definitely looks great on your resume. I'll make sure to find that link and put it in the chat. Thanks again.
Yeah, and congrats, Nathan, to you and your family. And Nathan takes classes at CRC, and so they put it in the CRC version of what we call Beaver Bites, which is like a weekly newsletter. So I'm going to make sure that we get that in the ARC newsletter too, so that our staff and faculty can hear about that. And as some of you are hearing about transferring or graduating, please let me know. I will definitely use this space. Y'all have had a much different experience than probably every student leader that come before you, maybe outside of last year's board. And I'll speak about that during the one of the agenda items here, but I want to be able to celebrate your all successes. So just let me know. I'm happy to brag about each and every one of you. Real quick, elections on that note, thank you for those of you that have reached out to fellow students, faculty, staff, encourage people to run. Angie, I know you're doing stuff at the home base. Stacey, I know you promoted to the Beacon tutors and the Beacon group. Hopefully some of y'all we got 2 track stars out here. Hopefully you're telling your fellow athletes to run if they're around next year. Just thank you for your help. It's a district and statewide issue. It's not just ARC. It's just hard to get students. I think everyone, I don't want to speak for you all, just fried of Zoom and fried of everything else on your plate. So anything you can do this next week to encourage folks to run. And then when we get into the election period, promoting the actual election piece, that would be awesome. So thank you. And then just the other thing I have in my notes here is SSCCC has General Assembly the April 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I think it's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I believe, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. ARC can still send a delegate for free to participate either on ground or virtual. So if anyone's interested in that, and if you don't know what that is voting on all the resolutions that have been presented to SSCCC, which is your state senate for community colleges. If you remember, we had some speakers a couple weeks ago come from Sac City, and they talked about a resolution they were trying to get for there. So those resolutions all get voted on, and ARC obviously has a vote on those. So if that's something you're interested in, it is a commitment that it probably a 2-day commitment. So, let me know, because I'll have to register you. If people still want to go, there's time. So for the virtual attendance, I think it's just for voting on the delegates. I will find out more. I just got a reminder from the state advisor late last night. So shoot me an email if you want to go. I see 2 of you might be interested. But other than that, that's all I have. So thank you, and Stacey, back to you.
Great, thank you, Brett, and thank you for that information about the virtual attendance, because that might make a difference for our delegate to be able to attend. Right, and also congratulations to Nathan. That is really exciting. Right, so we will move on to public comment. This time is reserved for members of the public to address ASB Senate on issues not already appearing on the agenda. A limit of 2 minutes per speaker shall be observed, with a maximum of 4 minutes per topic. No discussion is allotted on public comment. The law does not permit any action to be taken, nor extended discussion of any items not on the agenda. The ASB Senate may briefly respond to statements made for questions posed. However, for further information, please contact the ASB Senate President for the item of discussion to be placed on a future agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment at this time? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will now move on to appointments and swearing in. So for appointments, we've got a couple things still open. One of these is still the position of Director of Communications is still open. If anyone is interested in that, we still have 5 or 6 more meetings of this semester. So there's certainly time for that appointment. Is anyone interested in being appointed to Director of Communications?
Sure.
Recognized.
What would be the responsibilities of that position? Could you remind me again?
Great question. So the primary responsibility for Director of Communications is to take the meeting minutes.
Gotcha. Let me get back to you on that.
Absolutely. Right. Any other questions from anyone or interest in Director of Communications before I move on to the next appointment? All right, seeing and hearing none, the other open appointment is actually for a hiring committee. So one of the responsibilities of the Senate President is there are a variety of hiring committees throughout the year, and usually the President is contacted about this directly to find students to serve as student representatives for these hiring committees. Sometimes they're for management, sometimes they're for faculty. This semester, I was tasked with 10 different faculty hiring committees, and I'm happy to say that 9 of them are filled. But one of them has been really challenging for me to find someone who majors in that particular topic. That's always kind of a priority, is to find a student from within the department. But at this time, I do not have anyone for the faculty hiring committee for philosophy. The only information I have available at this time is that the committee will be meeting in either late April or early May. I can tell you from personal experience that these hiring committees tend to go on for a couple of days. Sometimes they can take almost all day. So this is quite a commitment, as a couple of our board members can tell you who have served on these committees. It more or less means clearing your schedule for 2 days usually. So if you have exams or regular work commitments, things like that, it may not be an ideal position for you. But if anyone is interested in serving as the student representative for the Faculty Hiring Committee Philosophy Department, please let me know, and I'll leave the floor open for a moment if anyone has questions or is interested in that appointment. All right. Hearing and seeing none, I will continue to look for someone for that hiring committee. I'm completely committed to filling all of these committees. I don't want to let that go. I want to make sure the student voice is heard on this hiring committees. I know that's important. So feel free to reach out to me if you have questions or if you are interested, because as I said, I will continue to search for someone to recruit. So that's it for appointments and swearing in. We will now move on to new business. Is there a motion for item 10.1?
I motion to speak on item 10.1.
There a second?
Second.
With the motion made and seconded, Director Garcia, I think this defaults back to you, although you can defer to the chair if you wish.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and hand it over to the chair. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So this bill, I'll share my screen in just a moment, concerns getting a link ready, a workshop from the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. So first I will share the link for you to view this virtual event. Now this is a virtual workshop to be held on April 7th from 1 to 4 p.m. You'll notice if you open the page, it lists the cost as $95 per attendee. Although if you look at the breakdown schedule, it's actually $50 per student and $500 for groups of 8 or more, whether or not they include students, staff, or faculty. So we could potentially send a pretty substantial delegation to this virtual workshop on student-led sustainability. So let me share the bill. So this is the bill as it is currently written. This is our third bill of the semester, so bill number 3. The motion is for the Associated Student Body Senate to allocate up to $500 for a delegation from the college to attend the ASHE Facilitating Student-Driven Interventions for Sustainable Behavior Change virtual workshop scheduled for April 7th. So the reason for the designation of $500 is because this would be an upper limit. So if currently I have a list of 3 students who would like to attend, so that would be $150. If more students, if staff and faculty would also like to attend, the max cap would be $500 for a mixed group of students and non-students. And again, that's 8 or more. There is no upper limit on this. So again, potentially a substantial delegation if you have classmates or knows staff members or faculty who would be interested in attending a sustainability event to increase sustainability in higher education. This is for you. So any questions or discussion on this bill at this time?
Chair, can you
Recognize.
hear me? I was just wondering, how do we, I'm not familiar with the process, sorry. How do we like co-sponsor or adopt it, do we just say like I make a motion to adopt it then? Is that all I have to say? Oh,
Abs-
okay.
I think you can just move to hold the vote. Yeah.
Okay, so so I can make a motion to hold the vote. Oh, move to roll call vote. Okay, so I make a motion to move to roll call vote. Is that right? Or
Correct. Thank you.
thanks. Sorry.
You're good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. With the motion made and seconded, Brett, could you begin the roll call vote?
Sure. And before I do that, just an advisor note. When the bill is introduced, right? Someone makes a motion, you discuss it. At any point, anyone can say, I move to vote. And so someone can second that. And then there's a way to like debate that, but that's how you have your discussion and then your vote. So it's been a while since we've had a bill with voting, money and everything. So just a little teachable moment there. Okay. VP Espinosa.
I approve.
Approve. Sorry, I'm on my other page here. Director of Finance, Win.
I approve.
Yes. Director of Public Relations, Love. AKA Sydney.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Let's see. Legislative Analyst Velarde Birch.
Yes.
Yes. Senator Gorman.
Yes.
Yes. Director of Legislative Affairs, Garcia.
I approve.
Yes. Senator Ng.
Aye.
Yes. And K-Rep Mark Shepard.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. A unanimous 8-0.
All right. Thank you, Brett. And thank you, everyone. Please reach out to me if you are interested in attending the virtual workshop. I will be collecting names for registration. And then Brett, I wanted to ask, will you be taking care of registration now that the bill is passed?
So I was just looking at the website and usually conferences tend to do like an invoice and it doesn't look like this one will. Like they wanted a credit card payment. So we need to figure out if the school still has a credit card we can use or if someone's going to have to front it and get reimbursed. Because there's a pay for a check option, but it said it needed 5 weeks and that's not going to be enough time. So maybe after the meeting, you and I can discuss some logistics on that.
Sure. No, that
Okay.
sounds good. I know VP Bang had mentioned the possibility of a credit card, but I have no idea where that is at in the system.
Nor do I. So we'll chat later about that.
All right. So with that we will move on to item 10.2. Is there a motion?
I move to discuss item 10.2, Center Leadership and Development Furniture Bill.
Is there a second?
Second.
With the motion made and seconded, go ahead. Okay, President Mark Shepard.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to come speak about this. There's going to be a huge transition into the CLD. And I know, Brett, if you don't mind, if you can kind of share a PowerPoint of the ideas and how we're going to transition the CLD to make it more efficient. I know that this bill is a huge bill, $20,000 bill. I know it has to go through Student Senate first, and then we will pass it on to JBC due to it exceeds our limit. I know, Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, I think other departments are going to be chipping in to the final cost of this bill, correct?
That's the plan. So, sorry, Chair.
Go ahead.
So in last summer, our vice president met with President Burrows, President Shepard, kind of discussed space options for ASB offices and the CLD. And I'll kind of get into like why we're talking about it now, but there was a discussion about, you know, ASB might be able to help with funds, and then administration would help with funds as well. So I can kind of get into that, but that's where this is coming from. So yeah, I'll leave it there, but I do have a PowerPoint I can share with the group, kind of show you all what's being discussed and some more context. Is it okay to share my screen?
I will make sure that is enabled because I always
Okay.
forget it's default off. Okay, should be on now.
Let me just make sure I have it. There we go. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
All right. So like I said, in the summer, there was discussions about moving the ASB offices to make some more space for some other folks that are coming in, and reimagining what my sages are going to do, reimagining what the Center for Leadership and Development is. And then when I started like talking with Mark about this, I realized that many of you have never seen the CLD or the ASB office. I know Stacey and Mark and Angie have came through. Many of you may have not seen it. And I think Mark is the only one that's really seen it, like been in the offices, like been doing stuff pre-pandemic. So I thought I would kind of share with you what I had in mind. I will say, so normally our process for furniture is much different than now. So typically our operations department would come in, they have a consulting firm that comes in and like does sketches and takes measurements and has furniture vendors. And that process is going to take a year. And we're trying to reopen the campus. I mean, it is reopened, right? But ASB and the CLD, I'm trying to have ready by summer, and we can't wait that long. So our dean, Jazzy, got permission for us to explore other avenues. So I went through the approved furniture vendor list, and I came up with some ideas that I thought I would share with you all. But I thought I would show you that. So this is what will be the ASB office. I took this picture on Wednesday. So right now it used to be an office space for our sages. Like right here used to be a copier where this bookshelf is. And you see like the paper roll and the A-frames and all that stuff. Obviously all that stuff would be moved out. But this would be the shared space for Student Senate, Club and Events Board, and Joint Budget Committee. So I have a picture going from the other way. This used to be the mailbox for all the clubs. So every active club has their own mailbox. We haven't utilized that obviously in 2 years. But I know like PTK still gets a lot of mail, but the vision is to kind of change this space. You would have privacy here with the door. So if you have a one-on-one with a student, or your planning session, or you're working on a bill, or you're researching policy, what have you, you would have that kind of in and out privilege. So some furniture options, kind of those fold up desks that have the plugs, have the phone chargers built into them. We do have desktops, but if you bring your laptop, you could just plug right in and charge up while you're working. You don't have to like try to find a wall plug, right? That's old school. There's also stand-up desk options. Some people prefer to stand. So I put a link here, and I will email this out to everyone. This PowerPoint has the vendor info. Pricing has been tough to figure out because they want you to call them, and basically they set up a quote, And right now I'm still just like exploring the furniture. But I will tell you that our campus and our district has purchasing deadlines. And so that's why I've had to scramble to try to get this proposal without like an official quote quite ready yet. I'll be perfectly honest with you and transparent about that. But this is kind of what I had in mind for Senate, CABE, and JBC kind of workspaces. I'm all for people that have other ideas. This is a student space and I want it to have student input. So that's just kind of some of the ideas I found for what the ASB office can look like. You could work in laptops as well if you wanted to with some of those funds. And they would be property of ASB and they would be for ASB officers. You know, like if you're going to SSCCC conference or Seesaw conference, right? And you have an official laptop for ASB, those can also be used with these funds. So that's kind of the ASB office. The other part, if you don't mind me sharing, this is what the Center for Leadership and Development looks like. If you've never been there, this is where your ASB offices would be back in here. Can you all see the arrow when I'm pointing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. These two offices used to be the ASB office. So this was the Senate office and this was the CABE office. And while intimate and having your own office was nice, I think this gives you more square footage, gives you more room to maneuver, have guests in there, right? Fellow students, faculty, staff. I think it just opens it up a little bit. It's proposed that this will be the tribal health office for Native American community elders, along with Native like faculty and staff and students. And then this is going to be mental health counseling and a group called Improve Your Tomorrow, which is a program designed to work with students of color, particularly males, but not necessarily. And then this is the outreach office. And then over here is the new club room. And I have pictures for that in a little bit. But we cleared out all this space. And my idea for this space is a new kind of student lounge area specifically for student clubs, student organizations, and ASB, right? To have a committee meeting there, to have workshops there, and really make it a student leader space. It's open to every student, right? But this is kind of where student leaders go. So some of the ideas I had furniture-wise, we're living in 2022, right? Where we're going to be hybrid for the foreseeable future. The latest report I got for fall is that 38% of classes in fall will be on ground, and the other 62 are still going to be remote or hybrid. So student clubs could still meet, right? Some club members might be at home or at work. Others could be on ground. So these kind of workstations with the monitor there so that you could still have meetings. A committee for ASB could meet at that table, right? If Stacey's at home, but Mark and Brianna are on ground, right? You can still have that meeting. So that is one proposal. I would like to have hopefully one of these along with the club room has a projector. So that gives students two spaces to meet remotely. And it would be specifically for student clubs and student orgs. So we would have to set up logistics on reservations and all that, but that's down the road. The other thing for the CLD is just some kind of lounge areas where students can just hang out, do homework, relax. This furniture is movable. So the other idea was that everything is movable, right? Modular furniture is what they call it. So that if you did have a workshop, I'm gonna go back here, and the speaker needs the TV here for presenting, all that furniture could be moved out. So you have space, right? You can bring in chairs and have workshops there, right? Or academic excellent workshops or guest speakers, however you want to, whatever you want to do with that space. So just some student area. And then, no, that's not what the CLD looks like. I put this picture in because that couch right there is kind of what I had in mind for kind of a lounge area for students to relax, bring coffee, Starbucks, whatever, into the space and meet, right? So informal ASB committee meetings you could have on that couch there, and it just gives a welcoming space for students to come into that space. So that's kind of the pitch, I guess you could say. Oh, and that's the current club room as of 2 days ago. So it's got a long conference table. It's got the projection screen and a drop down screen or projector. These tables could be moved out if you wanted to clear out more space, but this charger thing here has the adapter for the screen, so you can plug into the laptop and present, you know, on the screen. So that's kind of the space that you all should be in one day, and B, kind of a vision for what it could look like. I'll leave it at that. I know $20,000 is a lot of money. My lasting elevator pitch here would be that this is your opportunity to help future boards as we try to figure out what a hybrid world looks like for students and for student leaders. So I'll leave it there. If folks have questions, comments, concerns, I can definitely answer those, or if Mark wants to hop in, feel free.
Thank you, Brett. Was there anything you wanted to add, Mark?
I just want to say that since I've had the opportunity to kind of see this whole thing transition and look at the submarine room changing into the club room, it's been fun. It's been an experience, let's just put it that way, since I've been a part of ASB for well over 2 years now. I'm just kind of excited that we're actually going to upgrade our furniture and our technology. So I would definitely, I mean, if you guys have questions, please ask. You know, I would love to be able to answer that. So the only thing else I wanted to add is that we just ask for your support and help transition this into the next generation.
Thank you, Mark. And I did just want to share really quick, if you haven't been in the LRC recently for in-person Beacon tutoring, there is a very similar hybrid setup. They're called Zoom rooms, but it's very similar to what Brett showed in the slideshow, of like a table with a monitor on top that students can plug into, and they can host the Zoom meetings, you know, from those. And so there's a camera that looks right at the table where everyone is sitting. And so there are people dialed into a Zoom room online, and then people who are also there in person. So this is quickly becoming, you know, what's happening on campus for these sort of hybrid meetings. So any questions or comments? Any discussion?
Sure.
Recognized.
I just wanted to comment on, as Director of Finance, I wanted to talk about the fact that while 20,000 seems like a lot, we have so much money that just hasn't been used these past few years because of COVID and because we haven't been able to put events on for students and whatnot. And like Brett and Mark said, recognizing the idea that we are going to be in a hybrid environment for a long time, I think it's really important to have this kind of infrastructure. So I just wanted to share that comment.
Thank you for that expert insight on our budget, and also for that feedback on the longevity of the situation. Excellent points. Questions, comments, discussion? Thank you, Sydney. I noticed your comment in the chat. Go ahead.
Chair. I was just
Director.
thinking maybe if there could be some type of like water dispenser or water filtration, something would be nice for students. That's all.
That's a good idea. So something that I recently reached out to operations Cheryl Sears about was to find out whether or not there is a water hookup and countertop space to potentially add an ice and water dispenser for students in the student center. She has not gotten back to me about that yet, but I will be following up during Operations Council, which I believe is next Tuesday.
Oh,
Chair?
cool. Thanks.
Go ahead, Mark.
I know in that back room, on the photo, that showed like the mail room, we have a sink back there, so there could be a really good potential of adding up some type of water or ice dispenser machine, since there is plumbing already going into that building. So I'm pretty sure Brett wrote it down in the notes, and as well as myself. So we'll definitely mention that and see if that can be added into it for sure.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Mark. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about like the actual ASB and club room. I was just thinking like cafeteria somewhere in that building. There's got to be a spot, right? I know there are water bottle refill stations in different places throughout campus, and I think there might be one in kind of the foyer right outside the cafeteria. I don't know if there's one in the building. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's one in that you nailed it, the foyer and the kind of by the cafeteria, walking up past where your board meetings will be when we get back on ground eventually. The Senate 2 years ago, it might have even been 3. They passed a bill. I want to say it was $25,000 to replace all the water filters and install 2 new ones. And I know they replaced some of those with the filters because that's an easy fix. The installing new ones, I think, got delayed because of COVID, right? So there is a precedent for that, but I'll be curious to hear what Cheryl says when they get back to you. So, but I just wanted to add that context. Right now, like for us that are on ground, we just have the old school kind of like blue, red water thing out of a water jug, but that's not sustainable for long term. So yeah, some context there.
Thank you, Brett. That's helpful. Any other questions, comments, or discussion? The floor is also open for motions.
I move to have this move to a roll call vote to allocate up to $20,000, or would it be to move it to JBC?
Oh, good question. Brett, can you answer that?
Yeah, you're as Senate, you're just voting on the bill. The procedural would then go to JBC, but the motion would be just to move to allocate 20,000.
Chair,
Recognized.
I move to allocate $20,000 for the CLD furniture bill.
Is there a second?
I second.
With the motion made and seconded, Brett, could you begin the roll call vote?
Sure. BP Espinosa.
Can I abstain from voting or no?
You can.
It just seems like a lot of money to all of a sudden one day the next allocate. I wasn't aware. I don't know. We tried to make a motion about some girl and having a disability issue, and that was like shut down immediately. But isn't that, I don't even know how much money we have in the account. So what is that the total sum of? It's like 50,000, right? So I guess maybe I should have had more discussion. So I'm not sure. So I'll abstain. Sorry.
Oh, those all would have been great questions for discussion. It's reasonable to have those concerns.
Right. Director of Finance, Wynn?
Yes.
Yes. Director of Public Relations, Sydney?
Yes.
Yes. Legislative Analyst, Bellotti Birch?
Yes.
Yes. Dola Garcia.
I have a quick question, just real quick. So what if, because I don't know, for example, if there was, for example, VP Spinoza wanted to further continue the discussion, is there a proper way to do that? Or since there's already been a motion and seconded to vote, then we have to go through the roll call vote?
I'm not sure on that, Brett. What are Robert's rules on the situation?
Yeah, so the motion on the table is the vote. So once the vote is happening, you're voting. However, if you have further concerns, because this bill is over $10,000, it's got to go through the Joint Budget Committee. So they will have a meeting just like this. It'll be on the agenda, and you can come to that and share concerns, comments, questions, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna abstain.
All right. Senator Gorman.
No.
All right. Senator Ng.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And K-Rep Mark.
Yes.
Yes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, 1 no, and 2 abstainments. So that is 5 out of 8 votes. So the bill is passed.
All right, thank you, Brett. And I noticed Director of Finance Nguyen included in the chat that JVC will be meeting within the next month. Date has not been set yet, but I absolutely welcome anyone who has further questions or discussion to appear. If you are not on JVC, you can still share a public comment. All right. With that, we will now move on to committee reports. Don't believe any committees have met. JVC is coming up as mentioned. Don't believe governance committee has met. And I don't believe we currently have any ad hoc committees. So we will now move on to board member reports and announcements. Are there any board members who wish to make a report or share an announcement?
Chair.
Recognized.
Yes, so I just wanted to invite you all to a ship barbecue event that we're having. I'm going to go ahead and share the flyer momentarily. We had to switch the date just because we haven't heard back from the city for the permit. But I'm going to go ahead and share it momentarily. It's a partnership with ARC Engineering Club and Women in STEM. So yeah, hopefully you guys can make it out. And I'll share it right now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Chair.
Recognized.
I also wanted to invite you all to a chapter meeting that Phi Theta Kappa is having next Thursday at 5 p.m. ARC's new honors director, Professor Crowder, will be coming to talk about the honors program and the honors club that he is trying to start up again. Following that guest speaker presentation, I will be talking about some upcoming webinars, transfer resources, and career fairs that students should look out for. So if you're looking for more information about stuff like that, we'll be meeting next Thursday on Zoom from 5 to 6 p.m. and I'll share more information in the chat.
Thank you. Sound like great opportunities for honors students.
Chair,
Recognized.
I wanted to bring a concern that was brought to me by a couple clubs on campus during the CABE meeting on Tuesday when discussing what happened with President Dixon. They wanted more information on what they could tell their students and their people in their clubs directly, and they felt like they didn't get specific instructions, and they would have liked some more specific guidance and some more specific resources to share back to their clubs. So I don't know if that's something that we could implement by Tuesday, but I think that it would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sydney. Yeah, that's something that we could maybe include on the agenda for next week if it's something that the board wants to discuss in general for Senate. If it's a conversation continuing at CABE, it can potentially continue at CABE, either or both. I know there has been some sort of, I guess I'll say, sensitivity to sharing a lot of information on the threats. And part of that is due to concern that if, for an example, if an image is distributed of the person for whom the restraining order has been issued, that there may be kind of some reactionary false identification that everyone who sort of meets the general description of the person might, be kind of set upon by the student body or by staff or misidentified, and that could create a number of additional safety challenges. So I know there's been kind of concern about that. Brett, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Chair,
Oh, yeah.
may I re-clarify real quick?
Sure.
I'm not talking about information about the actions of this individual. I'm talking about there was a discussion surrounding what to do and how to react to racism in general. And they had kind of got the idea that CABE was just kind of saying, just don't be racist. But they were looking for information that's like, well, what is racist? What is microaggressions? What can we tell students to be actively looking for? How can we tell how can we tell our club members to be anti-racist instead of just telling them to not be racist?
Thank you for that clarification, and that's an important point. There is certainly a difference. So there has been some discussion among college administrators about making bystander training and different types of intervention awareness and training available to students, staff, and faculty. It sounds like they may be starting with staff and faculty, but this also sounds like potentially a good opportunity for someone on the board to create a project out of this and draft a bill. So similar how I found the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education organization and their virtual workshop, someone could perhaps find a workshop. I know there's an organization called hollaback.org, and they put together bystander training events to help people recognize the situation and de-escalate. Because a lot of the time when we seek to intervene, out of a good Samaritan kind of intent, it can actually inadvertently escalate a situation. So we want to make sure that we have the skills and the tools to de-escalate and make sure that everyone stays safe. So I would encourage anyone who's interested in pursuing more kind of advocacy for students in this regard to maybe find a formal training and bring a bill before the board to send a delegation. That's just one idea. There are many other ways to approach this, but I think bringing training to students is an excellent idea. And then I noticed Brett included in the chat, Dr. BJ Snowden, Associate Vice President, oversees equity advancement at ARC. So yeah, reaching out to BJ could be really helpful. Dr. Snowden is fairly new on our campus, but extremely helpful and resourceful and very knowledgeable. So I would seek his expertise for sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for bringing the board's attention to this. Recognized. Go ahead, Brett.
Just one other thing. So the Unite Center, which is formerly known as the Hub, for those of you that were around pre-2020, that houses our Undaki Scholar Program, Umoja, Puente, Prize, API Communities, Black Student Success, Pride Center. That reports to Eric Handy. He's our dean. Each of those programs have some trainings about like microaggressions, kind of entry level. I hate to use that word, but just kind of like for folks still learning about, anti-racism. There used to be another group on campus. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for saying this, called Unite, who used to do those type of training specifically. And full disclosure, that's where I used to work. So because they are no longer on campus, I don't know what the that's why I said to reach out to either Dr. Snowden or Eric Handy to see what kind of things there might be available for students and student clubs to kind of take that next step, right? So, and then I guess the other thing I would say is those meetings that Stacey mentioned and their chair's message. It was today at 2, and then tomorrow, Monday, I think. I know that's short notice, Sydney, for clubs, but that's a good place to start to address those concerns, to ask those questions. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But if folks still have questions about that or need help getting hold of Dr. Snowden or Eric, let me know. I can put you in contact with them.
Thank you, Brett. I was able to find Dr. Snowden in the campus directory, but I did not see a listing for Dean Handy. So if you have his contact information, please share it. All right, any other board member reports or announcements?
Chair,
Recognized.
I just want to thank for that information being presented, so that way maybe I can help clarify any concerns or any issues. I don't want no misinformation being presented or not enough information being presented. So maybe I will follow up on that and speak with Brett and maybe get an email sent out to all the clubs kind of reiterating what was intended to be said and what was asked upon. So I just want to make sure that accurate and adequate information is being presented. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That's a great idea. It sounds like the clarification and the support outreach to clubs would probably be appreciated. So it's a great idea. Any other board member reports or announcements? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will move on to public comment. This time is reserved for members of the public to address the ASB Senate on issues not already on the agenda. A limit of 2 minutes per speaker shall be observed with a maximum of 4 minutes per topic. No discussion is allotted on public comment. The law does not permit any action to be taken nor extended discussion of any items not on the agenda. The ASB Senate may briefly respond to statements made for questions posed. However, for their information, please contact the ASB Senate President for the item of discussion to be placed on a future agenda. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment at this time? Seeing and hearing none, if there are no objections, this meeting will be adjourned at 11:28 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Seeing and hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.